Hey guys, I've been playing God of War Ragnarok. I've played the first 5 hours, and I can give you my gameplay impressions, basically, of playing the game. Without spoiling too much, I don't have new footage for you. I can't show you new footage. Sony sent me some screenshots, and of course we've seen some of the trailer footage here. I will say that this game is not going to be that impactful for you if you haven't played the 2018 God of War game, and you should, because it's one of the best video games ever made, and now it's on the PC as well. It's a fantastic game on the Steam Deck, which is just so surreal, but God of War was incredible, and so of course the expectations for God of War Ragnarok have been very, very high. And this is also a PlayStation 5 game in addition to a PlayStation 4 game. So there are some visual high watermarks that the game is expected to hit, and it really does. This is a beautiful, beautiful video game. You can tell just by looking at the trailers that this is something special. It's iterating on a lot of the craftsmanship and the lore building and the world building that went into the original God of War from 2018. Of course, extending out, we're seeing beautiful snowy areas, and you can feel the temperature changing in this game because you do journey to different areas. You can see them in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling anything there. And what's amazing is you embody Kratos and you're walking through these different environments. You can feel the light and feel the heat. It's so hyper detailed. And what's really fantastic is just take in all of these incredible details that are built into all of the backgrounds of these environments. Now, the core gameplay doesn't change all that much from what I have been playing from the 2018 God of War game, even most recently when I was playing it on the Steam Deck. So it's pretty surreal to kind of transition to this, and it's just a straight carry-on with the story. It's a pickup on a lot of the threads that were provided in the 2018 God of War. There were some decisions made in that game, and there are repercussions for some of those decisions in this game that must be faced. And it starts with that right out of the gate. There are some quests that happen because of those ramifications and the sort of ripples of those decisions, which are interesting. What's different now, of course, though, is that Atreus, Kratos' son, has grown, and he's got a lot more maturity, and he's got a lot more willfulness, and he's not afraid to speak his mind. I particularly enjoy, there's a few bits in here, and I'm not spoiling anything, but there's a few bits in here where he's imitating Kratos, and it's really funny. There is a more tuned sense of humor, I think, overall. Mimir has got some really interesting and witty and funny things to say in this game as well, and the chatter between these three characters as the adventure sort of carries on and we start traveling with this trio is really cool. I like all of the repartee, but there's also a usefulness in that chatter because you are warned of approaching enemies, or there might be suggestions for looking around in some of these environments. And the way that God of War, the original and also here so far in what I've played, and I've only played this first 5 hours, and it's all I'm going to be talking about right now, but it plays similarly, where you have these kind of corridor sequences where you're kind of led along. They're very linear. You might be on a boat, you might be on some other kind of a craft that's sort of taking you to a place, and you can see all of this fine detail and all of these nooks and crannies that you might be able to explore, but you're kind of cut off from being able to veer off the path. And once you do veer off the path, it's usually going to be either some mix of puzzle solving and combat, or a heavy emphasis on combat leading up to some pretty spectacular boss fights. I've already encountered some pretty heinous and vicious enemies that took a little while for me to beat down, and it was also a bit weird for me because I just bounced off of the open world combat of Gotham Knights, and I had to kind of retrain myself to play God of War again. But after a few hours, the muscle memory starts to kick in, and it just has a gracefulness and a flow and just this maturity to the design that I really appreciated. And now I am completely invested. Of course, I've got a lot more to see. I don't know how big the game is, but that's what I'm about to find out. But it is gorgeous, and it plays like you remember it. There are some new gameplay elements, like pressing on that triangle button to spark up your Blades of Chaos to give them a cool fire effect, and they can also erupt in geysers of fire and blast back enemies, which is really cool. And then you can also press the triangle button to engage your axe and turn it into a frosty killing device as well, and it gives you a little bit more damage. And of course, there's artifacts and little gadgets and things that you'll pick up along the way that you can augment your character with and make yourself a little bit tougher, and there's skills to apply to these characters. A lot of the same kind of light RPG elements. But what hit me with God of War Ragnarok, and I don't know if I really thought this when I was playing the 2018 God of War game, is that there's a little bit of a Metroidvania element in this gameplay as well, where you pick up the abilities and the gadgets that allow you to retraverse and access areas that were previously unavailable to you. It's because you do kind of loop back. In addition to these corridor sections that lead you to more of these arena-type areas where you're going to get into combat or you're going to solve a puzzle or open a chest or whatever, there are also sections that let you come back and check things out. And I was digging all of it. I was liking the layers, I was liking the puzzle solving and the exploration, and the combat was hitting me. I just wasn't shocked by the gameplay. There's nothing that I've seen in this first 5 hours that have gone, oh my god, I've never seen anything like this from a PlayStation game before. It feels very much so far in line with the previous God of War game. That's not a problem, but I definitely do want to play some stuff and see some stuff in this game that just rocks my world like the 2018 God of War game did. But unfortunately, you usually only get that surprise, that element of like shock and awe once when you're talking about franchises. This is a sequel after all. But I have a lot more to play, and I'll have a lot more to talk about. I am definitely having a very good time with God of War Ragnarok. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and that little bell to stay notified, and I'll have my review for you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. And until then, play forever.